Hi, my name's Tom. I'm on the web at tdjacobs.com and also healingsuicide.com. And I'm a channel, an energy worker, an astrologer, a psychic medium. I do all kinds of things to support you in advancing along your human journey, your evolutionary journey, which is your soul's journey. And I want to talk today about the root chakra and how it fits into our lives on a daily basis, though we don't realize it quite often. And also the root chakra incubator, the third round, the third time I'm offering it, which is a healing workshop. It's like 6 or 7 weeks long, starting July 26th, and is very amenable to varying schedules and people in different time zones. So when you check it out, realize even with a vacation schedule, you can totally do this workshop. Or if you're in Australia or Asia or Europe or Africa or whatever, that there's certainly times when you could make these events, as I offer multiple ones. Anyway, I'll talk more about that. But the root chakra. Now, this is also called the first chakra if you're not familiar with it. I know a lot of people say chakra, and for some reason I say chakra. Then when I channel Jehudi, he says chakra. Anyway, so just overlook that for now. Overlook that for now. So it is the lowest one, the first one. In the human energy centers, if you can consider seven, some people consider there are more. But anyway, the root is around the anus. It's a foundation, and then the seventh is the crown, which is the top. So the root chakra is the foundation of our energy field, and therefore parameters of our consciousness. And what happens is, like your soul, which exists as divine consciousness and divine awareness outside time and space. So your soul does not exist in this dimension, but you kind of are born and squirming, crying baby, you erupt into this dimension, and then your soul learns how to be human through your experiences. That's a long story just compressed into a moment. But the soul knows that when you're born as a human, you will be helpless, so you need to be cared for, and clueless, helpless and clueless for some years. So other souls are enrolled in these contracts based in love, where they want each other to have the experiences they need while human, and so they'll do all kinds of things. People do to themselves and each other. These are soul level contracts. So like I will be nice to you, I will be cruel to you, I may abuse you, I will support you in any way I can. These are all indicative of family level contracts or contracts between souls, especially in family. We have all kinds of soul level contracts in important relationships, personal, professional, social, all kinds of things. But when it comes to family, family is the incubator for the most important themes that any one individual needs to explore. So the soul knows that when you're born as a human in any and all of these millions of lives, you'll be helpless and clueless. You'll need to be cared for, obviously, but also, this is the important point, your soul asks the other souls to show you how to be human, to teach you, to condition you. What is money for? Is education important? How should we vote? How do we pray? Who do we think God is? What are other people for? What are we for? Is service important? What is time worth? Any kind of question that you can ask about being human, about developing a value system, a way of living, it is sourced in these contracts between souls, between your soul and the souls of your family of origin, and then also family you create as an adult. So that's why somebody might say, "Oh my gosh, I think I married my mother," right? Or "Why are you acting like my father?" That kind of stuff. It all goes back to our roots, which is a foundation. So you're born as a squirming, crying baby, and you are imprinted with the thoughts and attitudes and feelings and beliefs of, excuse me, you can see my rumpled up blanket in the background. I thought this was bored. Anyway, you can absorb this conditioning and these patterns. So what your parents, even if they think differently, what each of them thinks about money and how and what time is worth and what values are important to live by and how we should vote. Even if there are, four people in your family and there are four different opinions, you're imprinted by all of them in different ways, and your soul has asked for it. So if I say to you, you are more than your limitations. If I say to you, I can help you create abundance or something, you're going to come up against, naturally, every human will come up against the limits that are imposed by those conditioned beliefs that were absorbed starting as an infant, starting as a newborn. those attitudes and imprints and philosophies and beliefs. So if I say to you, well, just change your belief. That's why I never say that to people, because we have to find out the pattern that leaves you stuck. We have to do some what I call emotional archaeology to dig down and find out, have you inherited limiting beliefs? If so, don't blame your family because your soul asked them to show you how to be human in certain ways that are not the full story. Look at how many ways, there are limitless ways to live. There are limitless things to believe. It is limitless. There's no, we can't quantify how many ideas about what it means to be human there are. In many ways, almost as many humans as exist. That's the number. Yeah, I didn't do that right. Anyway, so you're imprinted, but this whole thing with the root chakra is you're shown that you should see the world in a certain way. So you do. And it's often a blind spot. And so you meet somebody who says, oh my gosh, you should overcome that fear, or, oh, you're better than that self-esteem problem. So we do emotional archaeology and we look for the sources. It is in the root. The one that's activated at birth, the one that is absorbing the image of the world around you because of how your mom talks to your dad, or whatever it is, any circumstances surrounding birth, what your dad thinks about work, if your mom's worried about that bill, if your parents are devoted to their parents, right? If they're heartfelt church-going people or mosque-going people or synagogue or shul-going people, you're imprinted with their energies. Now, you might rebel at some point. You might do a 180. That's fine. That's part of the plan too. Not that there's destiny, but there's a plan that you're going to be exposed to things. You can take it or leave it. But the answers to all of the crap in your life, that's funny. I never thought about that before. The answers to all the crap in your life, in your root. So let me just do a little jump around for a second, compare and contrast. Root chakra, worldview. Do I feel safe here? Do I feel safe in my body? Do I feel welcomed here? Was I welcomed and celebrated as a child, as an infant? What do I think about who God is? What do I think about, the attitudes of my society toward this or that? Everything in the root chakra, community connection, has a lot to do with it. Do I belong? Does it cost me to belong? And then also literal family issues. Am I safe? Do I belong? Do I feel this is the right family for me? And by the way, in the Root Chakra Incubator, the answer is always yes. In my work, the answer is always yes, this is the right family for you, even if they push all the buttons and have made you feel crappy. And even if you don't like yourself because of how the family was, that's again what we're going to get into in the Root Chakra Incubator. So all that's in the root chakra. So your basic outlook on life begins in the root chakra. Okay. And then around age 6, when the second chakra is activated, I get this from Carolyn Mace. Last name is spelled M-Y-S-S, who's a medical intuitive and a spiritual teacher, basically, but a medical intuitive. And this I read in Anatomy of the Spirit, her very famous book, where you'll find copies of it everywhere. It's very famous. So it's worth reading 4 or 5 times, at least, by the way. So anyway, so around age 6, maybe, your second chakra above that, what we associate with the sexual organs typically, and even the kidneys, you are, and adrenals, of course, you start to learn about yourself through relationships with people who are not your family. Now, when you're younger, preschool age, whatever, you have friends and stuff, but your awareness changes a little. You're open in a little different way, and you start to get feedback from your peers or from other little kids. But think about how the root chakra is the primary landscape portrait. And then you start to add these relationships, and they're like figures on the landscape. Third chakra activated a few years later, maybe age 12-ish. You start to have an idea of yourself. Do you like yourself? Do you not like yourself? That's happening before because of the first and second chakra information you're receiving from family, from friends, from peers. But it's all based in the foundation of the root. For example, it's, if you're born into a family where people are empowered and confident and active go-getters and achievers, well, I know it's a weird thing to say. We typically say overachiever, underachiever, but let's just say it's appropriately achievement oriented. Let's say the people, go-getters who do stuff and get stuff done and feel good about it. Well, that's going to color your outlook on life. So in the second chakra, if people say to you, you can't do that, well, that you might say, I think I can. And then in the third chakra, you shouldn't feel good about yourself because you did that. Well, maybe the person says, it's okay. I can like myself even if I do something that you don't like. So it all starts in the root. But we're in it. We don't realize this patterning, this conditioning, these vibrations are happening. So when you come to somebody like me and he says, oh, you can change your beliefs. Let's say it's about money and abundance. And you heard from some channel, the abundance is your divine birthright. And you come and talk to me and Jehudi says to you, well, sure, you can choose abundance. Divine birthright? No, you're here to learn how to be human. And you can choose abundance. And you say, but this keeps happening and I'm not abundant. We say, okay, great, let's look at it. And while we're talking, some part of you will remember something that your dad said to you when you were like 8 or 10 years old. Or you'll remember, a parent got this amazing job opportunity and you had to move across the country and how hard that was to leave your friends and your school and the teachers you loved. Or move to a climate that really didn't work for you. Okay. Or you'll remember, oh my gosh, yeah, my parents converted to this or that religion when I was like 7 years old and I didn't understand. And suddenly we were going to this new place and the language in our house was different and we were supposed to change our behaviors, right? Or, okay, so if there is a block to abundance, maybe you don't feel welcome, maybe you've had to change, maybe you don't feel safe, right? Goes back to the root. Do you deserve abundance, right? Do you deserve to thrive and prosper? Some people would say, well, yes, it's your divine birthright. And I would say, Judy would say, well, you can choose that. Let's work on the blocks. Let's work on the knots and blocks and bruises in the root chakra first that affect the other chakras. Let's say that you had a depressed parent. And in the second chakra, everyone's telling you, you're not depressed. That person's depressed. Stop carrying it. And you can't figure out how to because an inner child is holding on. We go back to the root, inner child. So I can't impress upon you enough. I was writing this yesterday and I think I messed it up. I said, you can't underestimate. Oh, I can't overstate the importance or underestimate the importance. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. I mixed up the first one. Anyway, I was like thinking about this for like 10 minutes. I should have just looked it up. But anyway, Sagittarius. So while the sun's in Gemini, I'm like, I'm allergic to this Gemini stuff. What is this? Yeah, that's really distracting. Gemini time is hard for me. I'll just tell you that right now. I was stellium in Sagittarius, and I really like Sagittarius. So it all goes back to the root. So you have a depressed parent who doesn't think there are many possibilities, and people come to you and say, "Oh my gosh, your singing voice, your intellect, your poetry, your facility with numbers or language, or oh my gosh, your heart is so wonderful and how you affect people. And oh my God, how you are with kids, how you are with animals is so wonderful. Why are you so sad all the time?" Go back to the root. It might not be yours. An impressionable child may have absorbed the depressive energy of a parent. So whatever the problem is, we don't shame the family or blame the parents for anything. But we teach you basically how to own your own issues and separate yourself, not in a damaging way where relationships end, but separate your energies so you can be healthy. This is our goal here. So the Root Chakra Incubator. I've been saying it's 7 weeks. I think it's like 6.5 weeks, whatever. You'll forgive that Sagittarian issue too. Anyway, it starts July 26th. And there's an early bird. Today's June 4th. There's an early bird pricing till June 15th, the end of June 15th. And the early bird pricing you pay in one thing. It's $425. When it on the 16th of June, it goes to 500. So you're saving $75 if you sign up before, right, June 16th, right on to the end of June 15th. And then you can do like 2 payments. Okay. I've been asked that already. So what it is I have a prepared set of things I've channeled from Ascended Master Jehudi, also known as Hermes, Thoth, Saint Germain, Merlin, about root chakra issues, family soul level contracts. There's even a file about the soul level intentions and realities about adoption and fostering. And there's all kinds of stuff in there. There are channeled meditations that are unique to the Root Chakra Incubator. And also the first file from the Chakra Course, or Chakra Course, which is on the root chakra. So when you join, you start listening to and reading and digesting these materials. I guess it's listening. And you work through these materials, you take notes, you see what comes up in you. On July 26th, because the ideal is that you would sign up earlier, right? I'm going to give you, everyone who signed up by mid-July, access to the files. But on the 26th of July, we start the optional group calls, which are each an hour long, and usually 3 a week that cover different time zone possibilities. Like I said, Australia, Asia, Europe, Africa, North and South America. These calls will fit. Like there'll be like some that are on some that are on perhaps Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, where I live in St. Louis. So therefore, kind of early-ish morning Australia and Asia. And then there'll be like a Wednesday evening for people, like in North and South America. And then there'll be like a Thursday morning for people in Europe and Africa. Thursday morning, my time, which would be evening. So anyway, consider maybe 3 calls a week. I don't know if they'll be the same day every week or if they'll kind of rotate, but there'll be those times in there. So there are options for people out of the country. And I've had people in Asia and Australia do this work with me before, like on these kind of workshops. And everybody has access to those call recordings because questions come up and I answer. And so typically we steer away from terribly personal information unless you're fine with people hearing it. But then also part of the workshop is a set of 3 private coaching calls with me those recordings are not shared with anybody, and we can go as deeply personal as you want, like a private coaching call, like normal. And so those are to take place over the 7-ish weeks. So if you start the second week and do one every other week, perfect. Or you could do 1 per week. I don't recommend more often than that, just because you need to process. And from your guides, your spirit guides, and also from Ascended Master Jehudi, you'll be given likely affirmations and exercises to work on, to journal about between these private calls. So 3 private coaching calls where only you have access to the information, the recordings, and it's focused on you. And then the series of optional group calls, you can join as many as you want, time zone convenience permitting. Like if you live where I live, you could join all of them because they are during times when I'm awake, and you would therefore then be awake at any of these times. And the channel meditations and the other, I don't know, I guess you'd call them like lecture MP3s from Jehudi about root chakra soul level contracts and what the soul's intending by creating various family level things, family or soul level family contracts with different scenarios as a human, and how to come to peace to things. Because the point is, you were born into the right family. Number 1, the right family for you. Number 2, there's nothing wrong with you, but you've been conditioned to believe certain things about yourself and the world and money and time and education and God and whatever. You've been conditioned, but there's nothing wrong with you. And so this deep level of self-acceptance that we work toward is to improve everything in your life, because remember, as from earlier in this video, the root chakra is the foundation of your entire life. So let's meet those inner kids who didn't feel safe, or who experienced a trauma, or who felt abandoned or ignored, or weren't heard, or had their needs physical overlooked, their needs emotional overlooked, or just not seen. Maybe you're a really deep, sensitive person born to a family who love you but just can't see it and validate it. Well, let's validate it. Let's find those people within you. Let's find those kids. Whatever blocks that might be blind spots for you. For example, just these recurring patterns where you feel defeated or you feel like a failure. You're not a failure. You're learning as you go, but you might not have certain pieces of insight yet. Let's get you those pieces of insight. This will change your life. So you can read testimonials at the bottom of the Root Chakra Incubator page. I took, I think, 4 from previous attendees and put them up there. And anyway, so down below in the description of the video is a link to that. I'm also putting a link to the Chakra Course, which has an MP3 for each of the 7 chakras, and that will change your life too. And also the new, I haven't done a video on them yet, but I will within probably the next week. The lower chakra affirmation cards. You can use them as an oracle card. There are 15 cards with affirmations for all 3 lower for some for each lower chakra. In this moment, I'm always safe. All these affirmations that I've channeled from Jehudi. So I'll put links to all those things there. Thanks for your time and energy. Thanks for your support. And I'm looking forward to helping you resolve the blocks in your life that have confounded you and help you resolve the limited or defeated, depressive, what's the point, existential anguish questions that leave you exhausted. I'm looking forward to helping you with that. Join the Root Chakra Incubator. It starts July 26th. Goes to early September. Take care.